Howdy, I'm Big Juicy, and I've been boot scooting across Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm at Billy Bob's, the world's largest honky tonk. I wonder if they have something to cure my achy breaky heart. Billy Bob's wasn't always a place for a cowboy to go play. It used to be a place where a cowboy would go to work. In the early 1900s, the location was an open-air barn used to house cattle for the Fort Worth Stock Show. In the 30s, a roof was placed on the barn and a tower was erected in front. This became the place for all of Fort Worth's livestock shows until the Will Rogers Coliseum was built. During World War II, the building was used to build aircraft parts for training aircraft. In the 60s, it became a Clark's discount department store. The location was so big that the stock boys used roller skates to get around. On April Fool's Day 1981, Billy Bob's opened as the world's largest honky tonk. They had featured live bull riding, music, and dancing. John Travolta, star of the mega hit Saturday Night Fever, had just performed in a crossover hit called Urban Cowboy. This created a craze among young people and a demand for the cowboy culture. This was great news for Billy Bob's, but there was a bad neon moon arising. Country music was having an identity crisis. The old guard was, well, getting old, and they kept asking themselves, who's going to fill their shoes? George Jones even wrote a song about it. What resulted was a perfect storm. Disco's influence on country brought with it some absolutely ridiculous dance moves. Country dancing was a couple's sport, but the men were having nothing to do with it. The result of this perfect storm? Western line dancing. I had the opportunity to interview a man I'd like to introduce you to you. He wanted to stay anonymous for understandable reasons. His name is Hank Bush. Now, Hank, why don't you tell us a little bit about what happened that night at Billy Bob's?
Well, we were dancing, having a good time, and then they started playing that boot scooting boogie. I know asleep at the wheel didn't mean no harm, but that song ruined dancing for me.
How so?
Well, first off, it's kind of stupid. But then there was this Canadian that put some disco dance moves to it, and the women just thought it was great. Well, anyways, all the guys ditched the dance floor when the song came on. And of course, the women stayed out there doing their goofy little dances. I decided it'd be a great time to go relieve myself, so I walked across the dance floor, intentionally not giving it the proper respect it deserves. I realized I forgot my beer, so I turned around. But then I realized I didn't need a beer to relieve myself, so I turned back around. The women cheered and started copying what I did. Well, then I realized I had a rock in my boot. So I hit the heel on the ground and then the toe, to rattle it loose. Well, them idiots started copying that too. Every stupid little move I made, they copied it, like I was some simple Simon Says. By that time, the music switched over to the new tune, Achy Breaky Heart. The ladies started putting my motions together and making the dance to that song. You want to know the worst part?
What's that?
They gave me all the credit for coming up with that nonsense. That's why I have to talk all anonymous like.
Hank, Mr. Bush, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, sure thing, Big Juicy.
Line dancing took off like wildfire and burned the institutions of country music to the ground. Who's going to fill their shoes? Well, it became pretty obvious when songs like Watermelon Crawl, She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy, and Honky Tonk Badonkadonk filled the airwaves. Billy Bob's embraced the movement and still offers free line dancing lessons. Who knows? Maybe Hank Bush is the instructor. This is Big Juicy, and this has been Big Juicy Tidbit number 7. Please subscribe and tell your friends and enemies. If you like what you see, let me know in the comments below. And remember, some people make history and some people make up history. Until next time, keep it juicy.